very common among our students, Karan. So what is the timeline that you have targeted for your master's?
Yeah, so I started preparing for GRE at the end of April, and then I actually planned to give my GRE in July, but I had to work on my profile, so I thought I'll give the GRE a bit early so that I have more time to work on my profile and SOP. So my suggestion to those who already have a good profile for the university they are targeting, it's okay for them if they give their GRE even in August or September. But for the ones who don't have a very good profile for the university they are targeting, it's better to complete GRE as early as possible, maybe in June or July, and then proceed forward with building up your profile for 2-3 months.
All right. I think it's a very clear plan that you've set up. Akshay here, definitely take those questions. Don't worry. In the meantime, guys, I do understand a lot of you have questions for us. We will try to take up as many questions as possible. In the next 1 hour, we'll try to cover every content right now. So I have a question here from, this is Vijay Swaminath. He wants to understand how should we build our profile and what is included in a profile?
So the first thing in your profile is what coursework you have done in your college. The second thing is what kind of work you have done in your during your working years, and the third thing which I am currently working on is to build a profile on GitHub and do some projects by myself in data science so that I have something to showcase to the university.
Okay, so basically gathering that extra insight in the data science industry itself. Now, do you have any clear, I mean, for example, do you have already internships now, or are you still planning to take up some projects?
Yeah, so I have currently enrolled in a data science course, and that course has 3-4 full-fledged projects which I'll complete in another 1 month, and then I'll put those projects on my GitHub profile, and then I can share that GitHub profile with the universities.
All right. So that way, I think you have a plan to show your passion in the data science field. That's great. Now, in that case, as we move forward to the next part, which is ideally your GRE preparations, right? Now, when it comes to the GRE preparations, when did you first think about preparing for GRE, and how did you get started?
Actually, it started with a casual discussion with one of the friends about what to do in the future, and then we gradually had this build the strong desire to go for an MS, and we started discussing on what will be the correct timeline if we actually want to do an MS in fall 2019. So by the end of April, I was pretty sure I have to get an admit by fall 2019, and then I started putting my 100% efforts into that.
All right. In fact, guys, when Karan says 100% effort, believe me, I think in the upcoming slides you'll understand why. Because having a 12-hour night shift of work in Amazon, where it's not easy to go forward and do the work and come back, he's still prepared for GRE 2 hours every day, despite that longer day. So that's what we're gonna be discussing in the upcoming slides as well. So on that note, what are the primary challenges that you face with respect to GRE preparations? Because a lot of people have different ways of approaching, a lot of people have different challenges. What were the biggest challenges that you faced, and how did you overcome them one by one?
Yeah, so the first challenge is to find the time to study. When you are a working professional, usually in all companies you have to work for 10 to 12 hours every day. So finding time for studying is difficult. So you should have a real conviction to go for an MS, then you will definitely find time for yourself. Otherwise, you won't be able to find time for that. The time is there, but you really need to have a conviction after such a long day to sit down and study for 2 3 hours even on weekdays. So that is the first thing.
Okay. Now, how did you overcome a challenge like this? Because clearly that once you have the conviction in your hand, it's very important. The commitment you put forward for a GRE preparations is important. Now, when you come back from a 12-hour shift, what was your plan like when you started preparing for GRE?
So, I mean, I am not very good with the planning. So, I took up the GRE Edge course and I just started following the course plan which the GRE Edge gave me. So, I just kept doing although in their plan my time frame was longer, but I tried to complete the sessions as fast as possible. So this the screen which you guys see here is actually the number of sessions which I have completed in 1 week. So every session is basically a particular topic along with a test on that topic. Suppose geometry or data interpretation, there will be some theory and then there will be a test on that. So as you can see in week one, I have completed almost 30 sessions. So this is way ahead of my actual plan, but I had the conviction to finish these tests as fast as possible. So in the initial weeks, I focused on completing the quant sessions because I found the quant sessions to be relatively easier, and I wasn't still ready with the verbal sections because the verbal sections require you to have a good vocabulary. So I thought I'll do more of the verbal sections in the later part when I have learned sufficient words. So if you see in week three, I have just done the verbal sessions, and then going forward, I started giving the GRE style tests, and then I gave the full length tests. So this is the learning tracker in GRE's website, which helps you assess yourself how much portion you have covered and how much portion is still pending for you to cover.
All right. Now, a couple of follow-up questions coming from Surendra. Surendra from the audience want to know what kind of, give us a sessions you've done every week, as in little more details on what kind of topics did you cover with respect to quant in week 1 and week 2.
So I just went with the flow of the topics that were given to me by GREs. I didn't specifically choose. So in the beginning, the topics which I did was geometry and number theory and probability. And towards the second week, I started doing data analysis and data interpretation questions.
All right, so I hope that answers your question, Surendra. So moving forward to the next part, I think this kind of gives you a pace at which you prepare for GRE and kind of gives you a plan, holistic approach. What was the next biggest challenge that you faced when you prepared for your GRE?
Yeah, so as I told earlier, having a clear plan and being able to track your progress is important. So if you plan to do everything by yourself from books, then you need to have a really good plan for yourself. So that is one area I was not very good at. So I needed someone to guide me with the plan. So that is where GREH came in, and they helped me out with having a proper plan and be able to track my own progress.
Okay. Now, as a follow-up question, how did you track this progress? I mean, is there any data that you can give on that process?
Yeah, so very good way to track where you stand among the students who have a similar aim. So I kept my aim for verbal section for 160 to 165 score, and as you complete sectional tests, you'll see where do you stand compared to other students who have a similar aim for GRE. So that gives you an idea of in what areas you need to put in more efforts. Because since there are a lot of students who join GRE Edge, so it gives you a good idea of your standing for this exam.
Okay. Now, being able to compare yourself with the past students who scored the same in each session is one way to track your progress when it comes to the overall preparations. But one thing that I'm very interested to ask is that the massive jump that you made it in your verbal, right? Now, a 148 in your diagnostic score of verbal, and you've jumped to a 163 in final GRE. That's about 15 points of jump in just 60 days of preparations, right? Now, can you take us through on what's the story there? How did you make this remarkable jump from 143 to 163?
Yeah, so there are three components to it. One is improving your reading comprehension skills. The second one is to improving your vocabulary, and the third one is to improve the time management. So here I'll give few tips for reading comprehension. So what the main thing with reading comprehension is people assume things from their personal experience. So if there's a statement in reading comprehension that the temperature in a particular geography is between 15 degrees Celsius to 25 degrees Celsius, then you should not assume the weather to be cold in that area unless it is explicitly stated. So there might be some question to infer from what is written in the reading comprehension, and one of the option might be that the weather in this region is cold. So unless that thing is explicitly stated, you should not assume it. Similarly, if there's a reading comprehension about how the population is growing or shrinking in some countries of the world, and if there's a line which says that Germany's number of children per couple in Germany is 1.8, then you should not simply assume that the population of Germany is going down unless it's explicitly stated. And similarly, I have given another example on corruption. So it's really important for you to stick to what is given in the reading comprehension and not synthesize any knowledge by yourself from your personal experience. It looks easier, but this is a very difficult part of reading comprehension, to not think anything outside of what is already stated in the comprehension.
All right. So I think with respect to yes, reading comprehension, not bringing in your personal experience is very important. In fact, Dheeraj and Rajesh from the audience have said very useful tip as well. So guys in the audience, so far, are you all with us? We have just discussing a lot about Karan's GRE preparation, and we have asking a very important challenges we have faced so far. Just to give a recap for the people who just joined us, since I can see a lot more attendees, I have with me here the 332 scorer Karan, who prepared for GRE while he was working for a 12-hour shift in a very reputed brand like Amazon, and he still prepared to 2 hours every day. And weekly, he spent 30 hours for his GRE, and 60 days he was able to score a 32 in his GRE. And here he's just talking to us about his verbal preparation. Now, that puts a lid on the reading comprehension questions we have for the day, Karan. But the next part when it comes to verbal is the vocabulary. Now, what is your stand, and what strategies would you share with our students today with respect to your vocabulary preparations?
Okay, so the thing with verbal is, if you are a good reader, if you are an avid reader, if you have read novels throughout your school life, you'll find it reasonably easier to tackle the verbal section. But for someone like me who has hardly read any novel throughout his 22, 23 years lifespan, so you have to artificially, build that vocabulary in just a short span of 2, 3 months. So I had a very unique way of remembering words. So I used to build associations from my personal life and then recall them. So does anyone here know the meaning of the word cantankerous?
All right. So, guys, the question to you here is: do any one of you know the word meaning of the word cantankerous? So Siddharth has probably got it right. A lot of no coming in. Some yes, some of them bad tempered, some ill tempered. No. A lot of no. Insolent behavior. No. All right. So I think about 20% of the audience know some meaning closer, and 80% not familiar. Can you give us the tip on how do you master these words, Karan?
Yeah, so my methodology is to break this word and associate a portion of this word with something in my own mother tongue or in a language which I know. So the story which I associated with this word was that I am going from my hometown in Punjab to New Delhi, and suddenly near Delhi there's a railway station, Delhi Kent. With every big city there's a Kent station. So the train took a long pause of 30 minutes at that Kent station, and that really irritated me, and hence the word cantankerous. So are you able to understand? I took the word cantankerous, broke the Kent part of it, and associated with something totally different, but something which is related to my life, which makes it easier for me to remember this word.
Mm. All right. I think that kind of gives you, it kind of makes that word relatable to your association itself. I think that kind of is a very important. Akshay Rajan says, great association oriented understanding. Mnemonics tip. If that's other way of saying it, Sanaka, you're right. So apart from this, what other techniques do you usually use for vocabulary? Sometimes doesn't work. What do we do?
Yeah, so if you're not able to come up with any example from your day-to-day life, so first, yeah, let's look at this particular word which I remembered by also associating with a funny sort of example. Yeah, so temerity is, I associated it with a story that Saif Ali Khan had the temerity to name his son Taimur, which created public outrage. So the meaning of temerity is audacity, and I have associated temerity with Tamur, which is a word of a completely different language, but it is something which I'll recall because it's a sort of funny story which I can remember.
All right, wow. I think again, very cool idea. In fact, I think that kind of puts more and more relatability because what you can't forget words like this once you connect it with a big celebrity like that. Okay. Any other tip that you will be able to share today?
Yeah, so if this technique doesn't work out, the other thing is to associate it with images. So let's take the example of this particular word intransigence, which means refusal to change one's views or to agree about something. So I got this image from the internet where the animal is refusing to agree with his owner. So the other technique is to use the images. So what I personally used to do was I had an app installed in my phone. So I would say you should go for, there are a number of apps. I personally didn't find Magoosh very good app. You should go for an app which has images and which also has a detailed description of the context of that word. So what I used to do was every small break which I used to get in office, I'll just open that app and I learn one or two words. So that way, even with the with a very stringent work schedule, I was able to learn 20 to 40 words per day. So that is something you have to follow. Every small free time which you get in your during your preparation, just open that app and learn a new word.
All right. So I think these techniques kind of really puts a ring to the entire verbal preparations. Apart from this, Karan, I think quant verbal we have kind of covered something. Apart from this, what were the other challenges and important strategies that you believe our students should do to target a score like 332?
Yeah, so giving sectional tests or giving tests for a few sections might give you a confidence that you will do well in the complete test. But remember, the GRE test is 3.5 to 4 hours long, and you have to concentrate for whole of those 4 hours. And in that test, there will also be an optional section which won't be known to you, but you have to perform equally good in that optional section also. So giving mock tests becomes really, really important. So I used to give as many mock tests as possible, and I tried to give mock tests at the time when my exam was actually scheduled. So I had my GRE at 10 a.m. in the morning. I tried to give mock tests on weekends at 10 a.m. in the morning. So not only mock tests by GRE Edge, there are a number of mock tests which are available for free on the internet, including ETS or Kaplan or any other website, which has free mock tests also. So I would say just give as many mock tests as you can, because that will actually teach you the time management. So as you can see, I started with a verbal score of 148, a very low verbal score, and I took it up to 157 in my final GRE Edge mock test, and finally I was able to score 163 in my verbal, and parallelly my quant also had some level of improvement.
Wow, I think it kind of puts the entire preparation in perspective, because your target is 330 and you've got from a 309 to a 322 to a 332 in a matter of 60 days. I just that comes with the immense the conviction and the commitment you put across. Because guys, when I spoke to Karan, he had mentioned that he kind of works for 12 hours a day, and then he comes back home and prepares for 2 hours for GRE on an everyday basis, and in the weekends he gives about 12 hours of his time, 6 to 12 hours for time. That's about 30 hours a week for his GRE preparation, which is why he was able to aggressively complete a lot of sessions in the learning tracker and also keep in progress. I think that's kind of comes with a lot of, it kind of totally inspires and motivates us personally as well. Thank you so much for that, Karan. But moving forward to next part, this is a kind of tricky question to ask right now. But 169 in Quant, do you regret that not getting the 170, or was it something not in your mind at all? Do you remember where you went wrong?
I had in my mind to score between 168 to 170. But as far as I remember from my exam, the 1 mark which I lost, it was in data interpretation. It wasn't because of a silly mistake. It was actually because I wasn't able to understand the question clearly. So the 1 mark I lost there. But the strategy which since I come from an engineering background, the strategy which I used was to do the quant section as fast as possible. I actually used to redo it. So if I have a 35-minute time period, I'll try to finish all the questions by 25 minutes. And in the next 10 minutes, I'll just redo all the questions, which increases your chances of, correcting the questions which you might have made wrong in the first go.
Preparing yourself at a pace that you're able to redo your entire quant section is phenomenal. Now, a couple of questions from audience here. Dheeraj Gudluru, in fact, has a question for you. If someone is from a weaker quant background, unlike most of the engineers, is there any specific tips that you will give them in particular?
I would say that you should give time test. So actual exam gives you 1.5 minutes to complete every question. But I would say you should target doing it in 1 minute or less. Initially, you will find it really difficult. But if you plan that I will do 30 questions in 30 minutes, just stop at 30 minutes and look back and see where you could have improved your speed. So GRE Quant is all about speed. The maths is not that difficult, and if you feel you are facing difficulty in Quant, just give as many time tests as possible. It may not be an online test like GRE. You can also give it from any book like Manhattan. You can say to yourself that I'll do 30 questions in 30 minutes. That will really, initially it will be tough, but after 20-25 days, your speed will really start improving if you follow that technique.
All right. I think having that timed preparation is very important because that is what makes the difference when it comes to quant. Primarily, if once you cross that 160 to 170, the only difference is in the time. After that, it's about the conceptual mistakes, silly mistakes, all that can be avoided. But with respect to time management in particular, what was that you would recommend people to do? Like it's important that you finish the question less than 1 minute. But is there anything else that you would tell us on how people can reduce the time they spend per question?
So the only way is if for a particular topic, let's say geometry, if I practice 100 questions, then definitely when I see a new question, it will in some way be related to a question which I have done. That will automatically increase my speed. So the the key to everything is more and more practice. And whenever you do practice, it's also very important to go back and see what mistakes you have done and try not to repeat those mistakes.
All right. So try not repeating your mistakes. I think that's kind of very important in this process. Now, how do you think the concept of learning tracker or the SFA, how did it come in handy for the score you've got?
So the first thing is learning tracker gives you a very planned way of studying, a very formalized way of studying. They'll give you a calendar that you have to complete arithmetic by this day, you have to complete geometry by this day, and so on. The second thing is about SFAs. So SFA is student. I just forgot the full form. Can you say that, Vishnu?
Student facilitator and analyst.
Yeah. So student facilitator and analyst. So their job is to solely analyze your progress. They'll make your work easy by telling you that you have done bad in this particular topic. So they'll sort of assist you that you did 5 topics today, and there was this third topic which you didn't do well. And in this third topic, you need to focus on this. So suppose I'm doing geometry. It may be the case that I have done well with triangles, and it may be the case I didn't do well with circles. So they'll review your test and they'll explicitly write that you didn't do well in circles, and please focus on improving your score in this area. So that kind of makes your work easy to analyze your mistake. And also my verbal SFA really motivated because she realized that although my performance was fluctuating while preparation, but she was very optimistic that I have the capability of scoring more than 160 in verbal.
All right. Now I have a question, in fact, coming up more and more about the prep materials. Before we move forward, one important question I have for you, everybody, from all of us in this audience webinar is that from your experience of scoring 332, what do you believe are the key tips that you will give our students today if they're approaching for fall 2019 along with you?
So is it about the tips for GRE, or is it about the timeline they should follow?
The timeline, most probably.
Yeah, so I think by August you should actually be done with your GRE. GRE is just the first hurdle. There are a lot of other things you have to do. After GRE, there's TOEFL which you have to give, and you have to score more than 100 in TOEFL as well. And then the main deciding factor which will decide your fate is your SOP. So you need time to prepare for your SOP also. So my suggestion is, if you haven't given GRE till now, by August then you should be done with GRE.
All right. So I think that's a very important tip to keep in mind because, having that time to build your SOP, build your profile, getting LORs from your professor, building your transcripts, ensuring you finish before deadlines is very crucial. In that way, makes sense. I have a question from Sneha. What is Karan's TOEFL score? Karan, can you answer that?
Yeah, so I didn't score very well. I scored 103 in TOEFL. So the top universities have a cutoff of 100. So almost all universities will admit you if you have a more than 100 score. But if you really want to go for teaching assistantship, I think you should score more than 110.
All right. Also, there are some sectional criteria where, like in speaking section, you're supposed to have a 28 and above. I think even Columbia University has that, for the matter of fact. I think that kind of is very, very puts clear plan on how to go forward, Karan. I think so far we've got a lot of good tips and suggestions so far, and we can move forward in this webinar. But before that, I want to understand the audience here, guys. So far, how have you found the webinar so far? Is it informative? Was it helpful for you guys? How many of you are kind of inspired and confident that if I put that 30 hours per week, just like Karan has did, and I will also be able to get that preparation looking for? How many of you would like to track your progress while you prepare for GRE? How many of you want to get perfect study plan that can help you reach that 330 as well? Now, wow, really helpful, Bernard. Thankful, very helpful. All right, wonderful, guys. So if you are one of those who are looking for that, willing to give that extra hard work, who are convinced to prepare for GRE and very clear that I want to get started as early as possible, do let us know by answering the poll that is launched in your screen, and type in, and if you're very serious about starting it as early as possible, type in GRE in your chat box and send it to me. I'll share a link privately with you guys. Basically, open that link in any of your browsers, whichever browser that you have. Open it in your respective browsers. Just fill your details in that link. If you do that, you will be able to avail a exclusive call with one of the GRE and admission experts here at GRE Edge, who will be able to help you understand what kind of preparation portal to choose, what kind of timeline you to follow. And the best of all, you will also be able to avail exclusive offers on premium GREH programs. If you're already part of GRE, then in that case, GREH, you don't have to do that. But if you don't know what exactly is that we do type in GRE and send it to me. I'll share the link with you guys privately. So I see a lot of people typing in GRE here. Guys, I'm just sharing the link privately right now so that others' chat box is not bombarded with the same. So do get the link from me. Here, okay, I think, all right. So a lot of requests coming in. If you're not able to find the chat box, it's available on the right of your screen. If you're connected via your mobile phone, there's a question mark button on the top tab. You click on that, you will be able to access the chat box. In the meantime, I would like to personally ask a question to Karan. Karan, how was your overall experience been so far with GRE? You're also part of the admission counseling program here at GRE. So how has been the overall experience so far?
Yeah, my experience has been really fantastic with GRE Edge. They really take it very seriously. I mean, the progress is tracked every day, and you will very frequently be getting feedbacks from your SFAs, and you can call them any time on the working days. So although everything looks virtual, but they have proved that they are the leaders in helping students with GRE preparation.
Thank you so much for that. In fact, Karan, it kind of takes a lot of humility to say that. At the end of the day, helping our students reach the best score possible is the objective with which we work as well. Now, on that note, guys, if anybody else is interested, do let me know. I've shared the link with all of you. You can just go there, fill in your name, email ID, and your phone number to get exclusive help with GRE Edge. Now, moving forward, the next questions. Now is the time for you guys. Please ask as many questions as possible, guys. We'll try to take up one by one and start answering that right away. The first question that I can see is, what is the right time to start preparing for GRE if I'm targeting fall 2019? Shreya has this question.
Well, if you are targeting fall 2019, you are already late. But still, I think you should prepare for just 1 month and just give the GRE test, and then focus on your profile, because there isn't much time for you to prepare as well. So by September you should be done with your GRE. You can't delay it more.
All right. Now, Teju has a question from the audience. Was the GRE ETS GRE test more difficult than the practice test provided by GRE Edge?
No, the GRE, the ETS tests are fairly easier than what is provided by GRE Edge, but giving tougher things before giving easier things will motivate you and boost your confidence when you encounter the actual test.
All right. So I hope that answers your question, Teju. The next question that I'm able to see is Asta wants to know how much time is ideally needed for a statement of purpose?
I would say it will, at least for me, it will take at least 1.5 months for reaching that point of having an ideal SOP.
All right. In fact, we're just doing this research ourselves here, Karan, just keeping you posted as well. We actually understood that every student goes through a minimum of 16 to 17 drafts before he finalizes an SOP, because that's the kind of effort it goes into writing an SOP, right? I think that kind of makes a lot of impact as well. All right. So more questions coming in. Ritika Jain has a question for you. How much did you get in the 2 practice tests given by the ETS website?
So in the first test, I scored 324. In the second test, I scored 327.
Wow, a constant development throughout your preparation cycle. That's fantastic. Akash has a question for you. How did you manage to prepare for GRE simultaneously working in such a renowned firm? What was your routine after work?
So after work, that is the only thing I did, because I wanted to get over with GRE as fast as possible. And if if you want to study in a full blast mode, just keep studying. This thing you can do for a very short time. You can do this kind of extensive hard work for 1 or 2 months. You cannot do it for a very long period of time. So I could see the end. I could see that this kind of hard work is required only for 2 months, and then it will gradually become easier for me. So I was ready to do this kind of hard work for 2 months, because I really wanted to go for a master's in 2019. If you really have conviction, and doing a master's is not just a passing thought, you will find time for yourself.
Wow, that's very motivating fact. Thank you for that, Karan. The next question that has come in from Sharad Chandra. Can a student with a 295 as a baseline score, as in diagnostic score, touch a 330 plus with 30 days of preparation? What is your thoughts on that?
Well, you will be able to judge yourself better, because you have to keep giving tests, and you will see your performance for yourself. I kept doing hard work. I found that my performance is gradually increasing, and it can increase more. So you'll see for yourself, if you're able to score, with a 70-80% accuracy in sectional tests, then you are good to go. At least you will be able to score a 320.
All right. So I hope that answers your questions, guys. The next question, Avani Saranaik has a question. Which semester do you believe is better, a fall or a spring semester?
I would say fall semester is better, because most of the courses are, even the elective courses are available in fall semesters. And also, if you look at the placement, in terms of placement, the job fairs happen in such a time frame that it is more suitable for the fall semester students.
All right. So I hope that answers your question, Avani. Moving forward to the next part of today's webinar. Okay. Now, what should be an ideal GPA from your understanding? Nupur has this question.
See, everything depends on your SOP. SOP is your way to sell yourself to the university. Your CGPA may be as low as 7, but if you are successfully able to sell yourself, that you really like that course which you want to do and you have worked for that particular course, then there are cases when students with 310 or 315 marks also make it to universities like Carnegie Mellon. So yes, a good GRE score gives you an edge, but your SOP and your profile is also equally important.
All right. So I hope that addresses your question. Moving forward from here on, I think a lot more questions coming on the same lines you've addressed so far. Asta says, should one add failures in your SOP? Like if you've missed anything in your, should it be added?
Yeah, so I am also not very sure on that, but what I would suggest is that you should tell a story that you failed, but eventually you succeeded. You eventually overcome your failure. So that actually sets a positive tone for a failure.
All right. So I hope that answers your question, Asta. Now, one question from is a very out of the way. How much importance, in your opinion, is given to research work or research publications in a profile?
Well, having a research publication gives university some idea that you are research oriented, but research work only creates a real difference when your research is, in parallel with what research is going on in that particular field. So I personally have a research paper on image processing in Springer. So it's not exactly related to machine learning. To some extent, it will help me to showcase that, yeah, I have the ability to do research work. But if it was in the field of machine learning, then it would have given me an even a stronger edge over others.
All right, wonderful. I think that kind of answers almost all the questions that we have covered. I think that can come. In fact, I think we can come to the end of the session. Karan, first of all, I'd like to thank you so much for your time. For the past, I think 1 hour, we've had a very, very useful session. A lot of important tips and strategies have been discussed. And thank you so much for your time, Karan.